Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
Twins are currently riding a power surge at their park. 4 home runs the last 2 nights, a counting for all of their scoring. It's helped Eddie Rosario and the Twins remain relevant in the wild card race. This Sunday, Indians and Twins matchup is brought to you by Super America. Get your Knothole Kids Day vouchers at any local Super America. Sunday showdown ahead this afternoon at Target Field, where the Twins and Indians will determine who takes the series in this rubber game. Tommy Malone, recalled from AAA Rochester last night, will return to the mound for his first start in August. Carlos Carrasco will counter for Cleveland. He's been on a remarkable roll the last 3 games for the Indians. Welcome to Target Field and Twins baseball on Fox Sports North. Whether it's a byproduct of the slowest curing cement in the history of man or the midsummer heat, baseballs have been flying out of this ballpark in record number of late. And it continues a trend for the Twins here in the second half of the season. They've been a different ball club when it comes to hitting home runs, and the numbers certainly back that up. In their last 47 games, Twins hitters have produced 56 home runs overall, 5th highest total in Major League Baseball in that span, totaling 51 homers in their previous 69 games. Jack Morris, what's the reason for this power surge at the plate?
Well, my biggest guess would be the summer heat. It does make a difference here at Target Field. The ball seems to carry better when it's warm than those cool spring days, or maybe we'll see some fall cool days here where the Twins are still playing baseball. But with that being said, I think Tom Bernansky's approach is swing hard. Make sure you drive the ball.
Up next, Dick and Bert set up today's matchup on the mound.
Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Jeep. Find your summer of adventure with great deals at the Jeep Summer Clearance event.
As the Twins try to win this series with the Cleveland Indians for the third game in a row, they'll send to the mound a starting pitcher surrounded by question marks. Tommy Milone coming off the disabled list. He'll face right-hander Carlos Carrasco. And good Sunday afternoon to you from Target Field. Dick Raymer along with Bert Blyleven. And the Twins will face another tough right-handed pitcher. The strength of this Cleveland team is their starting pitching. And today they'll get their first look at Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, Carlos Carrasco, probably one of the hottest pitchers in baseball right now. Over his last 3 starts, he has a complete game. He's pitched an 8-inning outing, a total of 26 innings. Very good 1.04 ERA. In the 26 innings, only 7 hits allowed. Now the Twins will be facing him for the first time this season.
Injuries have disrupted the Twins' rotation. Phil Hughes is on the disabled list. Today, Tommy Milone comes off the disabled list, so we're not really sure exactly what he's going to give the Twins today.
Yeah, for Tommy Milone, he's coming off the disabled list, had a little bit of soreness on his elbow, but you know what? He has not faced the Cleveland Indians since 2013 when he was a member of the Oakland A's. 4 of his 5-star wins so far have been here at home, and he has been very tough on lefties, hitting only 157 against them.
Twins head out on a daunting road trip. They'd like to head out of town with a couple of series wins at home. Final game of the homestand coming up.
And boy, is he pretty good at baseball.
Brian Dozier sends one into the upper deck.
The 5'11", 200-pound emerging leader of the Twins. You know his swagger, his smile, his sizzle. You know his highlights and the hair. You know he's beloved by his coaches and teammates.
Dozier with a stop, comes up firing. What a play! That might be his best play of the year. Brian Dozier walks off the White Sox.
More freedom and flair than fear and awe. Seduced by promise, captivated by his potential. We know where Brian Dozier has been. Where does he go from here?
Deep to left field. Back and gone. Dozier just cranked his 17th.
And last night he hit his 25th, and he also played in his 500th game as a Twin. He's been a fixture in the lineup. It really is a peculiar game when he's not in the starting lineup.
Well, you want to be an impact player, and has Brian Dozier been an impact player? You can see what he's been able to accomplish in his first 500 ball games, and some pretty good company right there with Soriano and Ian Kinsler of the Tigers.
Again this year, Terry Francona has the Cleveland Indians playing better baseball in the second half than the first half. That's kind of what they've done since Francona took over before the 2013 season. Got up to such a terrible start, though. Their chances of making the playoffs aren't very good. Here's the Menards batting order for Cleveland. Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, Yan Gomes, Carlos Santana, Ryan Rayburn, Giovanni Urshela, Abraham Almonte, Jerry Sands, and Mike Aviles.
And they'll be facing 28-year-old left-hander Tommy Milone, making his 15th start, his first since July 31st, and then he was put on a disabled list with the left elbow strain. This is his first first start against the Cleveland Indians as a Minnesota Twin. This is his 5th career start against the Indians.
Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Shane Robinson in left, Aaron Hicks in center, Torrey Hunter gets the day off, and Eddie Rosario has right field. Sano at third, Nunez and Dozier up the middle, Plouffe at first, Mauer the DH, and Suzuki back behind the plate. Ramirez in the box, we're underway, and Tommy Milone takes or delivers outside, ball one.
You know, a lot of people questioning maybe Tommy Milone maybe should have went down for a rehab start, but I don't think so. This guy is a pitcher. He's not going to overpower anybody. He has to hit his spots, and he just missed with a couple down and away. He's not overpowering, as I mentioned. Mixes in the fastball, both sides of the plate, changes speeds well. Good hard breaking ball.
And a strike now, 2-1.
Milone coming over from the Oakland A's last year. Twins ended up trading Sam Fuld in a late July trade to the Oakland A's to get Tommy Milone.
Suzuki thought that had the inside corner, framed it for a while, but Ben May said no, it's 3-1.
Well, Milone doesn't walk too many, only 23 walks in 82 innings pitched.
And a strike, 3-2. Ramirez has taken all 5 pitches in this opening at bat.
Yeah, Ramirez a switch hitter, hitting only 190 as a right-handed hitter. This is a guy you want to keep off the bases.
Fly ball right field, and Ramirez drifts over a few steps, or excuse me, Rosario one away. Ramirez is retired, 1 down. That'll bring up Francisco Lindor, who's had quite a rookie season at the ripe old age of 21.
And he's hitting well from both sides of the plate. In last night's ball game, a double and a single, and then on Friday night he added 3 hits and drove in a run. Not only offensively, but he turned one of the best double plays you're going to see in last night's ball game against the Twins and Trevor Plouffe.
So it looks like Lindor is going to kind of fill the mold that has been established now in the American League Central. Alcides Escobar's done a great job for the Kansas City Royals, a highlight reel shortstop. You've got Jose Iglesias with the Tigers. There's a pop-up, and the first baseman Plouffe drifts across the line and comes back into fair territory and drops the ball, or never even touched his glove. He had to kind of evade the runner, Lindor, who skirted inside and then drifting back into fair territory. I don't know that he ever got the glove on it.
Yeah, not much breeze here this afternoon. That ball went into foul territory and then ended up in fair territory. Watch Trevor Plouffe come in. He sees it okay. Now he drifts back toward the infield and the ball falls.
An air charge to Plouffe. And now Yan Gomes. Lindor can steal a base. Malone's got a good move to first. And a strike on the outside corner.
There's been 8 stolen bases in 10 attempts against Milone on the mound this year. He does have a couple pickoffs. And over his career, he has 13 of them. This is his 98th major league start.
Gomes hitting third, even though he's 0 for 9 in his matchups against Tommy Milone. in the dirt, 1-1.
Yeah, Gomes just not having the year he had last year when he hit 21 home runs and drove in 74 runs in 135 ball games. He has 7 home runs. He's driven only 28 so far this year and hitting .232. Suzuki sitting inside.
And now missing inside 2-1.
Malone's last start, as I mentioned, July 31st, here against the Seattle Mariners. He worked into the 7th inning. Ended up losing that ball game 6-1. He gave up 4 runs.
There goes the runner Lindor. The pitch is inside. Suzuki's thrown. And they got him. He overslid the bag.
Yeah, for some reason he went to the outfield side where he should have slid straight into the bag.
Terry Francona saying stay there, we may take a look at it. He had the base stolen and kind of came off to the side.
Yeah, he got a great jump right here. Tries to reach and touch it with the right hand.
He's out right there.
And that's why it's important for that middle infielder to keep the glove on the potential base stealer. Watch Brian Dozier right here. Gets it. He got his hand right there. Yep, got him almost twice before he able to get that left foot back on the bag.
In this era of replay, if you ever see an infielder drop a tag, that's a mistake. Because with a second, sometimes even a third look at a particular play, what Dozier did there is what every infielder should always do.
Yeah, we've seen a couple times when they did do the quick tag and then the runner slid past the bag and kind of left unexposed and then able to scamper back in to be safe.
Now a walk to Gomes and first base is refilled. Here's Carlos Santana. Santana 5 for 11 against Malone.
Yeah, for Lindor, that was the first time he has been thrown out in 4 attempts in his rookie season. Young man that has over 90 minor league steals.
Missing inside, ball 1. 14 pitches for Malone, only 5 strikes.
Carlos Santana, 5 hits in the 11 at bats against Malone.
Way out in front of the changeup.
Good changeup there.
Malone was considered to start perhaps the opener in New York tomorrow or today, and the Twins went with today. There's the changeup in a really good spot, in part because the Indians really struggle against lefties. They're 14-24 against left-handed starters. Santana, as much success as he's had against Malone, a much less effective hitter from the right side than left side.
Yeah, you know what? You always go to New York too, but you know, over the past, you always want to throw a left-hander at those Yankees because of that short porch in left field. But Paul Molitor and Neil Allen deciding to go with Malone here on Sunday. It'll be Kyle Gibson starting that 3-game series in New York tomorrow night.
2-1 to Santana, and now a strike.
You could almost say that Malone is sneaky fast. I'm not talking 90+ mile an hour fastball, but he changes speeds enough with the changeup and then the slow breaking ball that fastball at 88, 89 looks like it's 91, 92.
Missing with the changeup, and now it's a full count. And Gomes will take off from first. Well, the dugout gets Plouffe's attention, and with the left-hander Malone on the mound, they'll have Plouffe hold the runner here. On the ground, backhanded by Nunez. He sets and fires on target.
Nice play.
And that closes out a scoreless first inning. inning. Paul Molitor hoping that his team can get a little traction here. They're on a pace to win 49 games at home after averaging 49 losses at home over the last 4 years. The Menards batting order for the Twins: Aaron Hicks in the leadoff spot, Brian Dozier batting second. We might see that lineup for a while. Mauer third, Sano fourth, Plouffe, Rosario, Eduardo Nunez, Kurt Suzuki, and Shane Robinson.
And Carlos Carrasco on the mound. He has, like we said in the open, has been red hot as of late. His last 3 starts, 1-0, 1.04 ERA. He's a strikeout pitcher, and he kind of fits in nicely with this Indian staff. The Indian staff, they have struck out more batters in the American League than any other team, with 1,025 strikeouts.
And for the most part, guys like Kluber and Carrasco do it with an alarmingly high strikeout to walk ratio. Kluber's is outstanding at 6-1. Carrasco strikes out 7 batters for every man he walks. And Hicks takes strike 1.
Well, the Indians were waiting a long time for Carrasco to finally do what he's doing this year. You know, he came up in 2011. He lost some ball, 2009. First couple of years, 12 appearances as a starter. It just didn't work out. Even last year, they spent a lot of time in the bullpen. He did miss all of 2012 due to the Tommy John surgery he had in 2011. 14 starts last year, 40 appearances for the Indians. But he's in that rotation this year, and he's been pitching very well.
Foul back 1 and 2.
11 wins, the most on the staff.
Hicks, the last couple ball games, has put the first pitch in play. Here's the 4th pitch. Chopped off the glove of the pitcher, and Carrasco gets him at first. Good play, good recovery by Carrasco after having the ball clang out of his glove.
Yeah, good reaction, able to pick up the ball right away. And then, as we always say, you lose that ball and you have to get it. Don't use your glove. Barehanded. It's exactly what Carrasco did. Spun around and quickly threw that ball to Santana as Hicks hustling down that line. And Santana getting that low throw before Hicks can get to the bag.
And now Dozier hit a 2-run home run that doubled the Twins' lead late in the game last night.
Carrasco has a very good sinking fastball.
Popped up and out of play.
He'll mix in a curveball, slider, and a changeup. Twins don't have a lot of at-bats against Carrasco, making just his 8th career start against the Twins. He has struggled here at Target Field, 0-1 with the ERA at 5.5.
Popped up left center field. The shortstop Lindor out under it and called off by the left fielder Aviles. 2 away. Northland Ford defense for the Indians, and in this area too they have gotten younger and improved. Mike Aviles, a veteran, filling in for Michael Brantley in left. Brantley out with a left shoulder issue. Almonte in center, Sands in right. Urshela and Lindor have impressed the Twins with their defensive play the last 2 weekends. Ramirez, kind of a utility infielder type. Santana at first, and Yan Gomes behind the plate. 2 down, and here's Mauer, 6 for 11 in his matchups against Carlos Carrasco. Strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, fastball clocked right there, an easy 96 miles an hour.
Off the plate at 97.
And you saw that little bit of movement tailing away to Joe Mauer. Joe currently on an 8-game hitting streak. He's always put up good numbers against the Cleveland Indians.
Tap foul. Can you make a parallel between Kluber being a late bloomer and Carrasco? I mean, this is Carrasco's 12th year of professional ball. And the Phillies organization had picked up, I don't know, 200 or so innings up here before it started to come together for him at the age of 28.
Yeah, I think with Corey Kluber, what you're looking at is a guy that spent a lot of time in the minor leagues and just got better. I think this guy here, they saw a lot of greatness in him, but the Tommy John surgery had things that kind of set him back. Kluber, of course, last year's American League Cy Young Award winner when he won 18 ball games.
Last year, just 134 innings, but he gave up an opponent batting average of 209. Speaking of Carrasco, 1-2 to Mauer. Fouled away.
Well, what's helped Carrasco too this year, he has actually pitched better on the road than at home. This is his 12th road start. He's 7-2 with a 2.49 earned run average. And at Progressive Field in Cleveland, he's 4-6 in 12 starts with an ERA at 5. So quite a comparison between home and road.
1-2, Carrasco to Mauer. Now 2-2. This year, Carrasco, as you may have seen, an opponent batting average of 234. But he does a decent job keeping the ball in the ballpark. And if you've got a low opponent batting average and you don't walk people, you should win some games.
Yeah, left-handers are hitting only 215. Right-handers 250. He's given up 14 home runs, 7 to lefties, 7 to righties.
Two and two. Got him. A cutter inside. And Carrasco enjoys a 1-2-3 first inning.
Neil Allen about the start today for Tommy Milone. He said the time in between the 2 weeks has been a godsend for that left elbow. No longer an issue. Said the bullpen went very well. The plan was, guys, for 75 and 5 roughly. They want 75 pitches and 5 innings. To do that, he said he's got to get ahead in the count, use his off-speed stuff to work the batters into a situation where he's in control and can keep them off balance. And they really would like him to get at least through 5 to keep that bullpen in decent order for that long road trip. Again, reflecting on yesterday, Neil Allen said what we got from Duffy yesterday was absolutely perfect. We're looking for something similar today from Tommy Milone, and he acknowledged that the pitchers all know against Carrasco and some of these great starters for Cleveland, not a lot of room for error.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. And what he did right there, got strike one on ahead of Rayburn, but then Rayburn hitting this ball down the left field line.
And the ball didn't hit the diagonal wall, instead going to the corner. It's a leadoff double for Ryan Rayburn. Saw Robinson in retrieving that ball, waiting for a carom as it came down the right field line on Escobar's game winner a few nights ago. But this one just missed the edge of the extended wall.
Oh, quick swing right there, quick bat right there by Rayburn, getting it past Sano. And that's the tough part for a left fielder. does it ricochet off that short wall, or does it do exactly what the ball did, hug the wall and get into the corner? But it's a double all the way.
Back to the stretch for Tommy Milone and Giovanni Urshela.
Urshela just 23 years old, getting his rookie season.
And a strike at the knees.
Got some pop in his bat. He hit a home run here on Friday night. That coming against Trevor May, a 2-run home run in the second inning.
Squaring the bunt. It's a good bunt. And Suzuki gets the out at first.
That ball had some spin on it. Kurt may have been able to let that maybe go, but once it hits the grass, it's up to the catcher right there. Suzuki bouncing from behind home plate and watching the spin of the ball. Urshela, you can see right off the plate, Suzuki going after it, and yeah, the ball was not going to move much further than it already had. So a good decision right there by Suzuki, getting the out at first.
Twins will bring the infield in to Abraham Almonte.
We talked about the last couple of days. Almonte, like some of these Indians, new to the organization, just getting traded over on July 31st. Almonte coming from the San Diego Padre organization.
One 1-0. Now 2-0. Mark Zebchinski going to the Padres on the trading deadline. And now 3-0 with Jerry Sands on deck.
Yeah, Almonte, 26 years old, from the Dominican Republic, originally signed by the Yankees, never came up to the big leagues with the Yankees. He ended up getting traded to the Seattle Mariners, spent a couple years with them, and then the year plus with the Padres before wearing an Indians uniform.
And Malone sticks one on the outside corner. That's about as hard as Tommy Malone's going to throw the baseball, 88 miles per hour.
Need something good to happen here.
That's a liner to left. Robinson back, makes the catch. Tagging from third and scoring is Rayburn, and the Indians get the first run of the game. 2 down.
Yeah, Monte picking up an RBI, his 7th for the Indians in just his 8th game. So the sacrifice bunt after the double by Rayburn allows Almonte to hit that line drive sacrifice fly and pick up the RBI.
And that'll bring up Jerry Sands. Indians with an all right-handed lineup, counting the switch hitters. Chisenhall put on the bench. Brantley wasn't going to play anyway because of his left shoulder injury. Down and away, ball 1.
Well, right-handers came into the ballgame hitting .299 off of Tommy Milone. Left-handers only .157. 12 of the 14 home runs he's allowed have been to right-handed hitters.
And a roller through the left side of the infield. Second hit of the inning, and back to the stretch for Tommy Milone.
He must like to stretch today.
Mike Aviles will hit. He's the number 9 batter for Cleveland. Indians have had 2 issues. We mentioned the struggles they've had against left-handed starting pitching. And something that's been a strength for the Indians the last couple of years has really been a weakness this year. The record within the division, they're 18-30 inside the American League Central. They've had particular problems with the Tigers. They've just won 3 of 12 games. Velas has been dealing with a sore left wrist over the last couple of weeks, but with Brantley out, Velas just has to play through it.
And he's that type of player. You know, he came up with the Kansas City Royals, spent time in Boston. This guy's kind of what they call a gamer. You know, doesn't play all the time, but appreciates every day that he does wear that uniform. 34 years old.
Two strikes to Aviles.
Of course, we kind of talked about what he is going through with his family.
4-year-old daughter battling leukemia. Dribbled foul. Still two strikes. Check swing. I think he went. Home plate umpire Ben May says he went. Can't feel good for a guy with a sore left wrist to check swing like that. Miguel Sano will lead things off for the Twins in the second as they trail 1-0.
About Sano, and he said he's just been blown away by the power. That's obvious for a guy his size. Just the way the ball jumps off the bat is different. But what's really impressed Joe is the patience this young man has shown at the plate. Joe Mauer said he's always able to battle and get deep into a count. Yes, he does strike out, but for a rookie player that's played 6 weeks at the big league level, Joe Mauer taken back by this guy's eye in the batter's box. And Joe Mauer knows a little something about having an eye in that box, guys. Very high praise for the youngster.
Yeah, very nice to hear. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, you know what? I mean, you look at Sano in that batter's box. He's up toward home plate. He's never faced Carrasco before. You know, you can watch video all you want, but you can't beat doing what Sano's doing right there. Watching that fastball, watching the slider, and see if he can make good contact.
122 at bats, 17 extra base hits. Fouled back. 2-1, and
might have missed his pitch right there.
Kevin's point or Joe's point. 36 games, 24 walks. Now you project that out to 150 games, which is the hope for Sano next year. You're talking about 100 walks. 2-1, and a base hit. A leadoff single in the second. Sano's aboard.
He got a ball down and drove it between third and short. Twins pick up their first hit. So he just missed a pitch up, and that ball out over the plate. Solid swing. Ball ends up in left field.
And now Trevor Plouffe. Plouffe, the team leader in runs batted in. 62, one ahead of Brian Dozier. Torrey Hunter has 60. The Twins almost certainly won't have a batter with 100 runs batted in this year. That's to right field. Hit hard, but right at the right fielder Sands, one away. That'll bring up Rosario. Coming up August 29th and 30th, a DQ sensational Saturday, Super America Not Whole Kids Day, as the Twins take on the Houston Astros. The first 5,000 fans, 14 and under, both Saturday and Sunday. Get a bullseye plush presented by Target. So go to twinsbaseball.com/tickets. Get your tickets today. After the game today, the Twins head out on a very long and difficult road trip. Then they're home for a week, and then another long and difficult road trip. There's Rosario. For a young team, you know, the difficulty of the road trip can be a little overwhelming, I suppose. But for really good players, Paul Molitor was one of those. He said he always relished going on those late, long road trips. It's a challenge, and you need to embrace the challenge rather than be intimidated by it. One strike. And Rosario now behind in the count 0-2.
Well, as you mentioned, tough teams are going to face the Yankees, the Orioles, and then the Rays. Rays, a surprising team, but they're playing very well. They're pitching well. So, yeah, you want to go with the New York, someplace that the Twins haven't had a lot of success at, and hopefully win the series. Same thing in that 4-game series in Baltimore. Just hopefully, you know, tie the series or win 3 or 4, and then you go down to Tampa.
Outside 1 and 2.
Got an off day on that Monday in Tampa, but you see the 3-game series against the Yankees, 2 night games and a day game, and then the 4-game series in Baltimore with the off day, and then 3 night games in Tampa.
Then home for a week. Then the Twins go to Houston, Kansas City, and Chicago. 1-2 to Rosario. And Rosario strikes out. What looked to be the same pitch that struck out Mauer, that cutter inside to a left-handed batter.
Down and in. If you can get that pitch exactly where he got Mauer out and right there Rosario, you see that little bit of movement down, a little bit of break at the end. Rosario swinging through it. Second strikeout for Carrasco.
And now Nunez, who typically gets a start when the other team throws a hard-throwing starting pitcher. And Carrasco fits that bill, so Nunez gets the start at short. Fastball off the plate.
And Nunez 1 for 3 against Carlos Carrasco.
Inside now 2-0. Twins at 500, 58 and 58. There are 2 other teams that are 58 and 58. You mentioned the Rays. That's their record coming into play today. And you'd have to say they, like the Twins, are the surprise of a lot of people in baseball to be at 500 at this point of the year. Not much was expected at the beginning. Headed up the middle. Lindor has it go off his glove into center. Sano with a good read will go to third. And now Nunez advancing to second. And he's in safely. The helmet predictably between first and second. Nunez will get an odd double off the glove of the shortstop.
Yeah, we saw, you know, Lindor make a great play off a Trevor Plouffe bat going to his right. Here he has to go to his left. And the ball came up just at the last second. Looked like it just kind of ricocheted off his glove. There's Lindor coming into the picture and hits off his glove, which slows down the ball. And you're right, Sano got a good read right there. With 2 outs, you're off with a crack of the bat. But it's Nunez right here that does not stop running, and surprisingly, he lost his helmet.
Now Suzuki with 2 men in scoring position. A year ago, when Suzuki enjoyed perhaps his best year offensively, he was money in situations like this. And his ability to hit with men in scoring position is still maintained pretty high, hitting at 277. Pulled foul, 2 strikes. The other team, 58-58, a huge disappointment this year, the Washington Nationals. And a lot of people thought they would coast not just to a division title, but to the National League pennant. And right now, it doesn't look like they're going to make it to the playoffs. 4.5 games behind the Mets.
They spent a lot of money to improve that ball club to get the postseason.
2 strikes to Suzuki. Twins down a run, but with 2 men in scoring position. Pulled foul.
Just looking at the notes, I thought Suzuki would have faced Carrasco somewhere along the line, but this was his first at bat against him.
When a guy strikes out 7 men for every guy he walks, what that tells me is he's got stuff, but he also can locate it. So here's a big spot with Carrasco ahead of Suzuki 0-2, and you wouldn't think Carrasco would make a mistake here.
Watch Gomes. Where does he go? Away.
Laced to center field.
He made a mistake.
And 2 runs will score, and Suzuki is money once again. On an 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, we just showed Gomes trying to sit down and away, get Carrasco to get that ball away, but he left it up, and Kurt Suzuki lined it into center field. RBIs number 34 and 35 for Suzuki. The high fastball. You can see where that is, letter high. And a good solid swing by Suzuki. So taking advantage of Carrasco's mistake.
Yeah, sometimes a hitter will hit a good pitch. That was a mistake by Carrasco. And now Robinson. That's hit to center. And down for a hit. Suzuki will round second on his way to third. And Almonte flips the ball in towards second. 4 hits in the inning. And 3 of them now with 2 out in the inning.
Yeah, we talked about Carrasco coming into the ballgame last 26 innings, over 3 starts, only 7 hits allowed. Against the Oakland A's, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and the Yankees. But Gomes goes out. Santana, the first baseman, talked to his right-hander. Try to settle him down, and Twins taking advantage of those pitches that are up.
And now Hicks. Hicks hit a high chopper. He intended to hit it over the mound, but Carrasco got a glove on it, knocked it down, recovered, and threw him out at first. Mentioned that you might see Hicks in the leadoff spot. Dozier batting second for a while. Hicks much prefers hitting in the leadoff spot where he's hit almost his entire professional career, except up here, of course. And a pitch taken, ball 1.
Well, Twins tried putting him in that spot, the leadoff spot, a couple years ago, but Hicks just didn't adapt very well. Well, the attitude has changed. He's got a lot more confidence now, hitting well from both sides of the plate.
A little number, and Carrasco picks it up and throws him out at first. But the Twins get some 2-out hitting done in the second inning and take a 2-1 lead. Nashville the last 2 weeks of the season, and by then Jason Kipnis will be back in the lineup. At least the Indians hope so. Our Sanford Health injury report, we mentioned Brantley's got a bad left shoulder. Kipnis has got a bad right shoulder.
Yeah, I can see right now leading the American League with a .326 batting average, and Prince Fielder, who was with the Texas Rangers, just left town, and he's right there with him.
Jose Ramirez will lead off the third. Tommy Milone hopes to pitch from the windup for a while, now pitching with a 2-1 lead. And he tickles the outside corner with a changeup. Inside, missing with a fastball. Ramirez hit a fly ball to right his first time up.
Ramirez, one of these young kids that the Indians hope that really finds it, because he's got a lot of speed. He can create some excitement on the base paths. In the minor leagues, 5 different minor league seasons, an average of .310. He started the season this year, and down in the minor leagues hitting .350.
Swing and a foul, 2-2.
3 different stints up and down with the Indians this year.
Two and two. And a weak ground ball left side, cut off by Sano. And that arm comes in handy to get the speedy Ramirez.
And the quick feet right there, too, for a big man. You saw him bounce to his left and get that little short hop, and then even a little bit quicker with his feet to get set to make a strong throw. Watch him right here. He's playing a deep third base, cuts across in front of Nunez, and then the quick, strong throw. A nice defensive play. Watch him set himself up and lets it fly.
No, ball line to right field, right to Rosario. A quick second out. 2 down, and now Yan Gomes. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag NorthDataStrongFan, and you might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile.
Boy, this is a good inning so far for Milone. Only 6 pitches, 2 outs. Needs that. 40 pitches right now, 23 strikes. Again, they're looking maybe 75 pitches for him, which he needs some quick innings to get into the 5th or 6th inning.
A lot of the determination will be how stressful the pitches thrown have been, and through the first 2 innings, well, there's a lot of stress in there. Guys on base all the time, a leadoff double in the second. 1 strike to Gomes. He drew a walk in the first.
They call it pitches under duress. Now he's in the windup where he'd like to stay the rest of the game. First 2 innings was enough in the stretch.
But we've seen Milone get into grooves like that too, where once he gets in, he has quick 1, 2, 3 innings and strings of 12, 14 batters in a row retired.
Well, you know what? Ben May behind the plate. He's a call-up umpire, and you know what? He'll start getting calls maybe outside the plate a little bit. And that's the type of pitcher Milone needs to expand that 17-inch plate if he can by hitting his spots.
Can't make a 17-inch plate be any bigger than 17 inches.
Yes, you can if you keep hitting your spots. Ask Greg Maddux if he had a 17-inch plate. Sometimes it was like 40 inches.
With Eric Gregg behind the plate.
For sure. Well, you got to get to know the umpire. What will the umpire give you, what he won't give you?
1 and 2. And there's strike 3. Really good inning for Tommy Milone. Sano with a good play, a line out quickly from Lindor, and now a strikeout of Gomes.
your link to what's next by NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here.
2-1 Twins scoring some runs in the second inning without the benefit of a long ball. 4 hits in the inning. Twins left 2 men on base, and now Brian Dozier will start things in the third. Hard right at Urshela on the first pitch. Carrasco gets the first out. That'll bring up Mauer. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Boys and Girls Clubs help young people reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens through programs that promote character and leadership, education, healthy lifestyles, and more. For more information, visit foxsportsupports.com. 1 down in the third, and now Mauer. Mauer struck out swinging on a cutter from Carrasco. Twins will face CC Sabathia tomorrow in New York. They're facing Cleveland's CC Carlos Carrasco here today. Twins haven't seen him in a start since the first week of the season last year. And he's a much better pitcher now than he was back then. 1-1.
Carrasco making his 8th career start against the Twins, his 11th game. 1 win, 3 losses. ERA about 3.5. Again here at Target Field, 0-1 with a 5.28 earned run average.
2-1. The key against guys like him, just not chasing pitches out of the zone. Make him throw it over the plate. Because if he gets you to chase, it's going to be a quick ball game.
Well, he's a strikeout pitcher too, so you want to be ready early in the count. We saw Robinson jump on the first pitch, got a base hit. Then we saw Dozier just make an out, but jumped on that first pitch.
3-1 to Mauer. Sano will hit next.
First 3-ball count for Carrasco against the Twins.
And outside, Mauer will take a 1-out walk. You don't get many of those from Carrasco. See if the Twins can take advantage here in the third.
29th walk, 2 intentional, and 147 innings pitched. So yes, he's very, very sharp. He does not allow a lot of base on balls.
Sano started the 2-run second with a single to left. Took a couple of pitches. Missed a pitch and then grounded the single. Fouled back. With Sano's help, the Twins are hitting more home runs this year. They're on a pace to hit about 150, which is about what they hit a couple years ago. Over the inside corner, and it's 0-2. A year ago at this time, Kenny Vargas was getting some big hits and some long home runs. Vargas was the Twins minor league player of the week last week, promoted to AAA. And Sano gets tied up on a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. 2 down.
And Carrasco picks up his 3rd strikeout. Sano with 7 home runs, all of them against right-handed pitchers. You saw a little bit of movement right there on that fastball that rode in on Sano.
Plouffe lined out to right fielder Sands right after Sano's single in the second inning. Inside, ball 1. 46 games left for the Twins, counting today's game. That's to left. Will drop in front of Aviles. Mauer rounding second on his way to third. And there's a throw to third. Mauer's safe. Plouffe takes a big turn and holds it first.
Yeah, good read by Mauer. We saw Sano last inning to get a good read off the bat after the glove of Lindor. They went to third. Right there, ball right off the end of the bat. He kind of saw that Rayburn was shading Trevor Plouffe toward right center. And Aviles, by the time he could get there, Joe decided right around second. Now this is his decision. You see the ball kind of flared into left field. Aviles has to come a long way to get this and makes a good throw to third base. But Joe Mauer slides in safely. Right there, he read it. Okay, I'm going to take a chance, get over to third base. Slides directly into the bag before the tag can be applied.
And now Rosario, who struck out in the second. Outside. The Indians have found out that you can have a plan to pitch to Rosario, but be prepared if it doesn't work. Saw last night Rosario literally hit a pitch that was eye high inside off the plate, and he hit it about 400 feet to right field. Swing and a miss. Then they pitched him down low and he hit that ball hard. So somewhere's in between, I guess. 1-1. To the right side, and an easy play for Ramirez, and the Twins leave two more aboard in the third. Is presented by Super America. Get your Knothole Kids Day vouchers at any local Super America. Kevin Gord, Bert Blyleven, Dick Bramer, last game of the homestand. Twins have a chance to make it a 4-2 homestand, get back above the 500 mark, and maybe find themselves just a game out of a wild card spot in the wild card standings. Angels are playing Kansas City tonight. Baltimore's crept to within a half game, and they're leading Oakland 6-2. Of course, the Twins have a chance to face the Orioles in Baltimore next weekend. And a quick first out. Santana wraps a two-hopper to short.
Yeah, second time Santana hit a ground ball to Nunez for an out.
And the Twins have Tampa on the road trip. They've got 4 games in Baltimore. They have the Angels coming here later on. They're done with Toronto. They had their chance against the Blue Jays and didn't handle those 4 games very well. And they're done with Texas. But they can do something about their placement in the standings as it relates to the Orioles, and the Angels, and
the Rays. Strike one to Rayburn. Malone picking up the pace in terms of getting outs. He's retired 5 in a row on just a handful of pitches. And now a bouncer to third, backhanded by Sano. 2 down. We're seeing the Indians now realizing that Malone's throwing strikes and they're trying to attack early in the at-bats. 2 down.
Well, you mentioned the last inning. We have seen Tommy Malone get to those situations or those little areas that he'll retire 9, 10, 12 in a row once he gets into that groove. And right now, hopefully he's in that groove. 6 retired in a row.
Giovanni Urshela dropped down a sacrifice that led to a Cleveland run. And he takes strike one. That's the type of run we've talked about, the one the Indians got in the second inning. They got a double. They got a sacrifice bunt and a sacrifice fly. 3 guys in succession contributed to scoring a run. Now, it doesn't mean any more than a solo home run, but you just get the sense when you get a run like that that you're playing good baseball. That everybody did in 3 consecutive at-bats what they were supposed to do.
The sacrifice bunt, then the sacrifice fly.
Now towards the hole, backhanded by Nunez. He'll bounce it twice to Plouffe. And a very quick 1-2-3 inning with Eduardo Nunez, turning in a nice play to end the inning.
Showing off some leather.
Just their second since the All-Star break. Carsoup.com trivia. Usually on getaway day we get a cream puff for a question. What do we got today? Which Twins rookie holds the record for most outfield assists in a season?
Rich Becker.
All right, if that's your guess, I'm going to go more of the conventional route, and I'll say Kirby Puckett. Nunez, Suzuki, and Robinson to hit here in the 4th. Popped up. And Santana and Gomes converge. Santana with the catch one away. The Twins taking on the White Sox September 1st through the 3rd at Target Field. Tuesday features the U.S. Bank Value Pack. Purchase a U.S. Bank Home Run Porch View ticket and receive a free Schweigert hot dog and Pepsi. Wednesday is Student Day, presented by Rasmussen College. Standing room tickets are just $5 for students, and they include a free ride on Metro Transit. Call 800-33-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com to get your tickets today. I won't tell you how long it's been since I was a student, but I still cringe
when I go through as I did today, the Sunday paper and all the drugstores and Target and places like that have back to school sales. I still get the shivers.
Oh, really?
Oh, I hated this time of year when I was a student.
That's terrible. I love going to school.
Well, you went back to the same grade every year.
Yeah, but I knew the teachers.
Yeah.
I got my old locker back again.
Oh, man.
Things you can hide in your locker. Like books.
Just, the pencils are on sale now. The erasers are on sale. The paper, the loose leaf, the spiral notebooks and all that. Everything's on sale.
I love all that stuff.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look in front of me. I have everything. I have all different colored pencils and pens. I could hang out at a Staples or a place like that for hours.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, strike out a Suzuki, but he had a great at-bat in the second inning when he drove into 2 runs. And for Carrasco, he picks up his 4th strikeout.
Shane Robinson with 2 down. Twins scored in the second. Had a threat again in the third. See if Robinson can get something started here in the 4th.
I probably looked at it too that where there were 7 of us in our family, and my pops didn't make a lot of money, so that was a time of the year we got things like that.
New shoes too, maybe.
Well, maybe not new shoes. My brothers that were older, I'd get his shoes, and he would get new shoes. But I mean, you get pencils and all that stuff for school. Yeah, I liked it. I never used it, but I liked it. I sold it when I got to school.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
2 strikes to Robinson. Well, that didn't take long. A 1, 2, 3, 4th inning. A couple of strikeouts with Robinson retired on a toss to first. We head to the 5th. It's 2-1 Twins. Mountain Dew fans of the game hoping the Twins can win the homestand finale. Hoping they can make up the margin in the wild card race, play some October baseball in the postseason. Tommy Malone having a much better second time through the batting order. There's a bunt, foul, 1 strike, and they're calling him out. Home plate umpire Ben May saying Almonte bunted the ball when he was out of the box, and he is out very quickly here starting the 5th inning.
Ben White explaining, or Ben May explaining to Terry Francona what he saw. Now watch Almonte right here make contact.
Never touched him. The ball never touched him. And this is not a reviewable play, unfortunately.
See, I think he's thinking that it hit off his thigh.
But watch it again here.
Right.
The ball never touched him.
The Twins will take that break right there. You need breaks in a game, and Almonte trying to bunt, but is called out.
2 unassisted, 1 away, and here's Jerry Sands.
8 retired in a row by Malone.
Now that's a different variation of the play Paul Molitor talked about when I asked him whether he wanted more replay in front of the base up. Basically anything behind the umpires is reviewable. Anything in front of them, a fair or foul for instance, is not. And here's a perfect example. Now why shouldn't that play be reviewed, be able to be reviewed? The guy made a call. He thought he made the right call. Turns out it was the wrong call, and he took the at bat away from Almonte, and now here's a base hit. And rounding first, Sands is going to try for second. Here's the throw. Save. So a ball hit to the left center field gap, and by the time Hicks got to it, Sands was wheeling to second base.
Yeah, good hustle double right there by Jerry Sands. Sands getting his second hit. He singled in the second inning on his third double. Breaking ball hit right on the ground into left center, and Hicks gets to that ball, makes a good throw, but the hustle of Jerry Sands right here doesn't have to be told to go for 2. He took it and he made it, able to keep that foot on the bag. And again, you see Brian keeping the glove on the runner.
So a runner at second, 1 down, the number 9 batter, Aviles. Down and away, ball 1. Aviles struck out on a check swing his first time up. Again, he's been dealing with a sore left wrist. And you can imagine that the check swing didn't do the wrist any good. And outside 2-0. Tying run at second with 1 down in the 5th.
Aviles always been a pretty good contact hitter. Doesn't strike out often.
3-0. Ramirez, the leadoff batter, on deck.
He struck out only 26 times in 214 plate appearances.
Down the middle to strike.
It's funny how hitters get ready for that ball to be delivered toward home plate. Some guys don't move their bat at all, and Aviles is a guy that kind of swirls that bat over his head.
And a walk will fill first base, so Aviles draws a 1-out walk, and now Ramirez will come up with 2 men aboard.
Yeah, second walk for Tommy Milone in the ball game.
60 pitches thrown for Malone. The Twins would like to get him through at least the 5th. Ramirez with a fly to right and a ground ball to third. Paul Molitor wondering whether walking the number 9 batter should be interpreted as a warning sign.
Malone not really a guy that gets a lot of double plays turned behind him. We'll see if he can get a quick one here off the bat of Ramirez, but only 5 double plays turned behind Malone. This is his 15th start.
Away ball 1, and Suzuki will
go out and have a chat with Malone, his former battery mate for a couple of years with Oakland.
Quick trip to the mound by Suzuki.
Now, how often did you have a catcher who you trusted come out? And
I trusted all my catchers.
From a pitching standpoint, if they saw something mechanically you were doing.
He's always thought the catcher was like a second pitching coach. They see little things that sometimes you're doing, dropping your arm, maybe not getting on top of the baseball where it's flat.
And missing outside again, 2-0.
Not missing by much, but he is missing.
Twins with a 1-run lead, but in the middle innings, the Indians have a threat after the 1-out double. And compounding it, Malone's control issues. 2-0. Popped up. That might help. Plouffe tracking it. And on the warning track, makes the catch. That's a big second out.
And again, that ball kind of drifted back toward the playing field. Remember when Lindor was up, that ball kind of started in foul territory and came back. Maybe the rotation of that ball coming down.
It's just the opposite of what Plouffe is used to on the other side of the diamond.
Right. So that is a big out. Now you got to get the pesky Lindor out.
A little bit of breeze, but nothing substantial. But again, with the right-handed batter hitting that foul pop that way, it will spin back toward the foul line. Lindor reached on a pop-up that Plouffe didn't track back into fair territory. It fell for an error in the first. Then he lined out to Rosario in the third. And now Malone falls behind Lindor.
I guess, Dick, that's the same as if a pop-up is hit right over home plate. Catchers are taught to turn their back toward the infield and watch that ball drift back.
Brian Dunsing getting loose down in the bullpen. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Good fastball. Pumped it up to 90. Lindor, a switch hitter, is a right-handed hitter. Came into the game hitting .306.
On the inside corner.
And two good fastballs. So maybe Malone knows that, you know, this is getting to the point of maybe it's all he's going to be asked to get. So last two fastballs, good location.
On strikes presented by Jeep. 1-2 to Lindor. Breaking ball. Nice block by Suzuki. And it's 2-2.
After two fastballs, Malone tried to see if he'd maybe go after that pitch in the dirt. And you're right, Suzuki did a good job of getting in front of that and keeping the runners where they're at. Sands at second, Aviles at first.
Don't want the count to go full here with two down. And it's gone full with Gomes on deck. Now Sands, who might need a little help to score from second on a single anyway, will get that early jump. And of course Aviles will get an early start from first. Big pitch here for Malone as he tries to wrap up his fifth inning. Poked foul. And now the next pitch, the 70th thrown by Malone. I would think this might be the end of the day for Tommy Malone.
Yeah, Malone, he kind of took a little bit. Now he got the sign that he wants from Suzuki.
Full count. And he walked him. Gomes will come up with the bases loaded. And we'll see whether the Twins entrust Malone with Gomes here with the bases full and 2 out.
He struck out Gomes in the 3rd inning. Here comes Neil Allen out. But last night against Tyler Duffy a couple times struck him out. That was on a 3-2 pitch, and then another at bat. Gomes swinging at a ball just on the other side of home plate. That's exactly what Tommy Malone was able to, how he was able to strike him out in the 3rd inning. But for Gomes to chase that pitch, you have to get ahead in the count.
And that's what we've seen Malone not do in this inning. He's fallen behind everybody, including the number 9 batter, Aviles.
A couple walks in the inning, 3 in the ball game.
Gomes 0 for 10 against Tommy Malone. Big spot here with the Twins clinging to that 1-run lead. Pitch up, ball 1.
He tried the breaking ball and left it up. He wanted that breaking ball down, but you can see the upper part of the strike zone, but called a ball. You don't want to leave it there again.
Fouled away, 1-1. Remember, the inning started, the out that started the inning on the inning's first pitch will create some controversy because Almonte was called out for making contact with his bunt outside the box, and the ball never touched him. One and one. And now Suzuki is bitten by that foul tip in the dirt. 1-2.
I think what your point is also Paul Molitor's point on Almonte getting called out right there. The home plate umpire saw that ball, maybe hit his thigh area, and that's where maybe a first base or a third base umpire could help out.
Exactly. Malone ahead of Gomes, 1-2.
Does he throw that breaking ball just on the other side of the plate? He tried it.
That's a foul ball, says third base umpire Sam Holbrook. So no, fielded it just behind the bag, and the third base umpire said it did not go over the bag.
Yeah, this is actually the home plate umpire's call until it goes by the bag, but you can clearly see that ball is foul. And it did go by the bag, and Holbrook said it was foul.
So another strike for Gomes.
Now Gomes knows that they have been striking him out on that curveball in the dirt. Do they go back to it? Oh boy, good pitch.
Fastball.
Just missed inside.
A bit of a smirk toward Ben May.
That's what I was thinking too. Go fastball right here. And wow. Yep.
Like he hit his spot, but didn't get the call.
Right.
Now 2-2. And pitch number 76. Breaking ball got him.
Got him again.
And Suzuki steps on home plate. Malone survives a scare in the 5th.
He's a sucker for that low curveball. But let's do a little pitch by pitch to Yan Gomes. He missed with that high breaking ball. And then the fastball that Gomes probably thinks he would have liked back. And then he swung at that breaking ball, fouled it off. And right there, fouled it again, just down that third baseline. They tried the fastball in and just missed. And then there's that one in the dirt again. So 4 times in the last 2 ball games, Gomes has struck out on that good curveball just on the other side of home plate. 5 innings, only 1 run allowed.
Hicks pushes a bunt foul. Yeah, what do you think the chances are in the last 2 weeks of the year when the Twins face the Indians and back-to-back series in Cleveland and then here? What do you think the chances are that right-hander, left-hander won't matter, that Gomes is going to see a lot of breaking pitches in the dirt?
I think so.
Because Tyler Duffy, you know, from the right side was able to get him out with that pitch. 1 strike to Hicks, 0 for 2. He's hit a couple of comebackers to Carrasco. Pretty good bet that the Orioles are going to win. They're leading 15-2 over Oakland in the 6th inning. Toronto.
Come on now, it's only the 6th inning.
Toronto leading the Yankees 3-1, top of the 8th. Hicks, Dozier, and Mauer here in Minnesota, hitting against Carrasco in the 5th.
Yeah, you know what? There are wins, and there's kind of like must wins. And I think for Toronto, even though, you know,
it's a drive to right center field, it's carrying to the gap, tracked by Almonte, and he makes the catch. 400 feet from home plate.
Yeah, nice running catch by Almonte. But you know what? The Yankees beating Toronto the first 2 games in Toronto with all those fans. They want to get that mojo back.
Yeah, I would think. If the Yankees were to come back and sweep the Blue Jays in Toronto, that would be more impressive than Toronto's sweep of the Yankees in New York last weekend.
Right.
Here's Dozier with 1 gone in the Twins' 5th. Again, the Angels, the team right now that the Twins ultimately have to catch and pass, playing Kansas City tonight. Dozier takes a strike in the outside corner.
Yeah, Angels have been struggling as of late.
They, like the Twins, really good at home and not too good on the road. They had lost 9 straight on the road before their stunning comeback against the Royals bullpen the other night. There's a check swing and a foul. 0-2.
Even the American League Western Division is starting to tighten up a little bit. Texas is playing better baseball. Yeah. Houston won only 3 of their last 10 ball games. Angels 4 of their last 10. Right now the Houston Astros have a 2.5 game lead over the Angels, but Texas Rangers, even though they're at 500, 1 game over, they're in that hunt.
1-2. Dozier strikes out, 2 down.
And Carrasco picks up his 6th strikeout.
Weekdays don't miss America's pregame as Mike and Molly bring you live reports from around the country for the latest from NFL training camps and get you ready for a full night of MLB action. Catch America's pregame every weekday at 4 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Tough break for the Vikings yesterday, losing Phil Lodeholt to an Achilles tear. Here is Joe Mauer. He's not put a ball in play. He struck out in the 1st and walked in the 3rd. Pounded foul. 1 strike. Mauer, the designated hitter, with Sano getting a game at 3rd, Plouffe over at 1st, Hunter getting another day off. And now 1-1. Last year at this time, Kenny Vargas was doing a lot of DHing, and we mentioned he had a really good week at AAA after recently being promoted from AA to AAA. Twins minor league player of the week. Swing and a miss.
A good fastball, exactly where Gomes wanted it.
He got a swing and a miss from Mauer, 1-2. Twins with 5 hits.
4 of them in the second inning. And another breaking ball inside that cutter. Second time Mauer struck out. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Carrasco.
The state lottery winner circle 100 scratch-off tickets. Very exciting. Caledonia's best. Mary Beth getting married in October. She's got her fling here. The last fling before the ring is what the sign says. What a great time. The limo up from Caledonia. You got 15 of your best friends and your relatives. Yeah. How much fun are you having?
Oh, we're having a blast today. It's so awesome to be here for a Twins game. Wouldn't expect anything else for a bachelorette party.
And your first wedding gift is from Burt Blyleven. He's going to circle you. The Hall of Famer is. You're going to get 100 scratch-off tickets. And we won't get into great detail that your fiance is a Brewers fan.
Yeah, we're not happy about that. But he's a Twins fan, too, he says.
All right, well, we got a great party going on out here, guys, and we got 100 scratch-off tickets to help entice the excitement of the wedding.
All right, looking forward to that. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, you were here by circle. Congratulations.
Carlos Santana will lead off against Brian Dunsing coming in. I think a lot of Minnesotans know Caledonia is way down in the southeastern part of the state, but you might not know that it's about equidistant between Freeburg and Black Hammer, Minnesota.
Well, Dunsing coming in, making his 43rd relief appearance. He worked here on Friday night. Gave up a couple hits, but no runs.
Strike one, now strike two. Twins, not coincidentally, following the left-hander Malone with another left-hander Dunsing. We've talked about the struggles the Indians have had against lefties. And in particular, with Santana leading off the inning, a less productive hitter from the right side of the plate, 1-2. A dribbler, and Dunsing turns and fires to move one away. We've had a lot of comebackers to the mound here.
Yeah, Aaron Hicks a couple.
Nice to see every once in a while a reminder of who the best athletes on the field actually are.
Amen.
One down. Here's Rayburn.
Glad you said it.
Well, I was just trying to beat you to the punch.
And you did.
Rayburn with a double in the second, a run scored, and a bouncer to Sano. Strike one.
Rayburn in his third season with the Indians. Twins saw a lot of him when he was with the Detroit Tigers.
And Dunsing again with an off-speed pitch. It's the corner.
Yeah, Brian has been pitching a lot better as of late. Over his last 19 outings, coming into this one, allowing only 12 hits, 3 runs, good earned run average of 1.33, covering 20 and a third innings.
1-2.
Dunsing earlier this year on the disabled list. He had that right intercostal strain back in April. Missed about 2 weeks. Brian in his 7th season with the Twins.
Just off the corner with the fastball. Seen a couple of low hit games in this series. Chris Sale had a no hitter broken up in the 6th. Shelby Miller's got one through 7 in Atlanta. Two and 2 to Ryan Rayburn. Cracked his bat.
Get out of my kitchen.
Praise FM invites you to Faith Night 2015, a post-game event following the August 29th game between the Twins and the Astros. You can enjoy the game and then stay for post-game live music from Unite Twin Cities and special Twins player appearances. For details and tickets, visit twinsbaseball.com/Faith Night. Another 2-2.
Oh, got him.
Backdoor breaking ball, 2 down.
That kind of froze Rayburn right there. So Dunsing getting his 2nd out on a strikeout. A call 3rd strike.
Two down. And now Giovanni Urshela. And Dunsing with a nice fielding play.
And there's the best athlete on the field again.
See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's, with $1.69 iced coffees and 69-cent vanilla cones, you can get Totes treats excited all summer long at McDonald's. Miguel Sano will lead off the 6th inning. Twins looking for a cushion, looking for a base runner now against Carlos Carrasco.
He's retired 7 straight, 7 strikeouts for Carrasco, 1 walk. Twins did most of all the damage really in the 2-run second inning on 4 hits.
Sano started that inning with a single to left. Scored the first run of the game. Nunez scored the go-ahead run. Down and away, 2-0. Sano getting a chance to play at third base. It's become a once, maybe twice a week occurrence for him. Most young players appreciate that, would prefer that, but you know, most of what Sano has done has been done as a designated hitter, something he did not do much of in the minor leagues. Might have been green lighted, but he took a strike anyway. So I think you need to allow for that. Here's a guy who's been asked to do something he is unaccustomed to doing, and that is DHing, and yet the production's been there.
Yeah, when you look at this young man right here, I mean, he wants to hit. That's a big part of his makeup, but he's also played very well at third.
Right field corner, there's nobody there. And just foul.
It's just a matter if that ball is going to stay fair or foul, and it just kept slicing away and ended up in the stands. Sano, just 22 years old, called up on July 22nd. Big, strong man.
Carrasco doesn't walk many guys. He's walked one man. That was Mauer in the third. And he took ball 4 on a close pitch. Gomes thought that ball may have hit the corner. And he has a word or two with Ben May. It's a leadoff walk here in the 6th. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected through countless surveys, opinions. We've diligently selected the Data Strong Fan photo of the game. Well, look at that. There's Brian Dozier and K, I guess. KXJO. You can tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag North Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Plouffe with a man aboard. Fouled away.
I seem to have missed that memo.
About
voting.
Well, you and I aren't involved, but it is an exhaustive search that we take on a nightly basis. Staff of 12, 13 people trying to make sure we pick the
right one,
the right picture.
Oh, they did a good job there.
Pops straight up in the air.
That ball's up there.
And Plouffe is retired on a tall one. Eddie Rosario will bat next. Rosario is 0 for 2. One for 8, but the one was a impressive home run given where the pitch was. Brian Dozier said that the pitch that Rosario hit out last night was the highest pitch Dozier's ever seen somebody hit, much less hit it for a home run.
Yeah,
the pitch was right where
coming from Brian Dozier that likes it up there.
And Sano with a swipe to second base. Carrasco didn't pay Sano much attention, I think, looking at his physique, and decided a big guy like that can't run.
And Miguel Sano picking up his first stolen base at the major league level. A one-hop throw, Lindor trying to get it and make the quick tag, but the ball in and out of his glove. And Sano head first slide.
Meeting with the media today, I thought Terry Ryan brought up a good point. Speaking of Sano, he says he's a big man who can run. Those are in demand in any sport. And when you think about it, you know, big guys who can move like Sano can, well, they're a commodity in the NFL and the NBA. And maybe when it's all said and done, we'll get Sano on ice skates before he's done.
I'd make him a goalie.
Tap foul, 2 strikes.
Yeah, 33 stolen bases in the minor leagues for Sano in 5 seasons.
Sano keeps looking at a hand like he may have, with the head first slide, done something to a finger. Looking around, checking where the outfielders are. Nothing too serious. Taking the sliding gloves off. Now, what's that tell you? He had the gloves on at first, and he stole second. Now he took the gloves off at second. That tells me he's not going to steal third.
Sometimes you slide on a carpet or something, you get a little rug burn, and the way he slid in, he may have just had a little bit of a burn right there. Sometimes guys do take the gloves off when they run and
put one in each hand to keep their fingers from.
Right, so when they do have to advance and maybe slide, they don't jam their fingers.
That's to center. Sano hesitates just a bit to be sure, and he gains third base, and that's it. And now Rosario with a big turn. Gets a base hit, and the Twins have the rookies on the corners with one out.
Well, he just kind of reached out and hit that ball sharply, and Sano did the right thing. You know, you look at the outfielders, but Almonte in center field, pretty good speed. That ball had a little bit of extra hang time, but it is a base hit. Sano had to make sure that it hit green grass before the glove of Almonte. And it did.
We applaud runners when they take a gamble, get a good jump and score on that play. But we saw when we were talking about the batting gloves, Sano looking over his shoulders. He did his due diligence and knew where the outfielders were, and maybe should be credited for not trying to score on that ball. And of course leaves it to Nunez with runners at first and third.
The Twins would like to add to this one-run lead.
Nunez with a infield double, if there is such a thing, off the glove of the shortstop Lindor, his first time up. Fastball taken for a strike. Then Nunez fouled out to Santana in the fourth.
Carrasco, a strikeout pitcher, came into the ball game fifth in the American League in strikeouts, and right now tied with David Price for fourth in the American League.
Popped up deep third. Urshela in foul ground, giving away to Lindor, and Nunez fails to bring the runner in. Two down, and that'll leave it up to the guy who came through in the second inning. Kurt Suzuki lined a two-run single to center on an 0-2 pitch. It's the only run-producing at bat for the Twins today. Carrasco got ahead of him 0-2. And threw him a letter high fastball, and Suzuki drove it hard to center for a two-run single. Bouncer left side, Lindor goes the short way. Got him at second on a very close play. And now Rosario comes up limping a little bit at second base. Twins can't do anything with a leadoff walk, and it's still 2-1.
Paul Molitor's kind of out of the. Okay, he said nope, he's out. Close.
one-ball lead.
Well, it was the Indians who took the early 1-0 lead. A double, a bunt him over, a sacrifice fly, but the Twins came back in the bottom of the second inning with 4 hits, highlighted by Kurt Suzuki, 2-run single.
Abraham Almonte will lead off the 7th inning against Brian Dunsing, who had a fairly quick and effective 1-2-3 6th, throwing just 11 pitches, 8 for strikes. Swing and a miss.
A very close play at second base. Lindor over to Ramirez, who's kind of like the first baseman. And he just got the ball before Rosario hustled down that, made it very close.
One and one to Almonte. It's the bottom third of the Cleveland lineup. Almonte, Sands, and Aviles here in the 7th.
Only about a handful of times this year Brian Dunsing has been asked to not only pitch one but go out there for the second.
Bunting through it. Remember, Almonte tried to bunt in the 5th inning on the first pitch, and he bunted it foul, and home plate umpire Ben May incorrectly ruled that the ball hit him out of the batter's box when in fact the ball didn't hit him at all. 1-2. Toronto beat the Yankees 3-1. They're a half game back of New York in the East. And backhanded 2-2.
Casey Fien up in the Twins bullpen. Longest outing this year for Brian Dunsing came against the Brewers in Milwaukee, where he pitched 3 shutout innings.
On the ground on one hop. Dozier with the play. Plouffe, 1 down. And that'll bring up Jerry Sands.
And Paul Molitor on his way out. Sands being a right-handed hitter, and Aviles on the on-deck circle, also a right-hander. So good job by Brian Dunsing. 4 up, 4 down.
And Jerry Sands will hit against a new pitcher. The bullpen so far has done a nice job, as they did last night, yes, protecting a lead. Innings, 1 run allowed, and everything they could have hoped for from Brian Dunsing. 4 up, 4 down. You can follow live Twins baseball every day with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected to the Twins all season with MLB.tv Game of the Day, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. Browse the app's new features, including StatCast, tracking videos and bilingual access for Spanish-speaking fans. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app.
Yeah, Casey Fien, a shutout inning in last night's ball game, picked up his 12th hold, and with him coming into the ball game, Lonnie Chisenhall will be hitting for Jerry Sands. Fien, a strike thrower. Only 3 walks for Casey Fien in 41 innings pitched.
Strike 1 to Chisenhall. And now Sano will trot to the right side of the infield.
Chisenhall 1 for 5 as a pinch hitter.
Popped up. I asked Paul Molitor about the shifting as it relates to Sano, whether in the minor leagues, in Sano's case in Double-A, whether as a third baseman he was accustomed to doing something like this. They said, well, they do some shifting, but not as much in the minor leagues. You can imagine the scouting reports and all that aren't as thorough as they are with major league players, but they do some of it in the minor leagues. So Sano asked to do it here. Might have to field a ground ball and throw from a unique position on the field.
Yeah, I think they do it more at the Double-A and Triple-A level. Over, I know the games that I go to when I'm on vacation, if you call it that. And a strikeout right there, Casey Fien getting Chisenhall on 3 pitches. They don't do it in Fort Myers at all.
That's exactly what I call it, a vacation.
Vacation, yeah. Good fastball, great location. Chisenhall reaches out, can't reach it.
2 down in the 7th, and now Aviles. Aviles struck out on a check swing in the 2nd, and then alone walking on 5 pitches in the 5th. It's a ball hit to right center, and Hicks tracking it in the gap. Bullpen's been perfect so far. 6 up, 6 down. Twins still leading 2-1. Hoping to leave town with a 4-2 homestand and a couple of series wins. Hopefully setting the stage for a successful road trip. Nice summer Sunday afternoon, and we're happy to bring you God Bless America.
Minnetonka High School, she's going to lead us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Soup.com trivia question. I'm going to go with Gary Ward.
I'm going with Tom Bernansky.
And it was Kirby Puckett who was my original answer.
Yes, it was.
And I told you
ding,
that
ding.
I hated this time of year because it meant going back to school, and I did that all the time in school. Changed my answer, and it never worked out. Shane Robinson will lead off the Twins 7th.
Oh, wow.
What? Did you ever change your answer on tests?
I had true and false. I had a 50-50 chance. Chisenhall stays in the ball game, takes over for Sands in right field.
Robinson takes a breaking ball that sweeps over the inside corner, 1-1.
Carrasco's done a good job. 84 pitches so far. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Excuse me, 2 walks.
High and tight, 2-1. Robinson, Hicks, and Dozier. Twins have been stuck on 2, and in fact, the 2 runs they got came with 2 outs on an 0-2 pitch back in the 2nd inning. Had a chance in the 6th after the leadoff walk, but left 2 men on. And now a 1-hopper backhanded by Urshela. Nice play. We've seen him really play well at third base over the last 2 weekends. 1 down.
This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
Here's Hicks. A couple of comebackers to the mound and a fly to center. Swing and a miss. All right, give me a number. We mentioned 46 games left for the Twins counting today. Give me a number of games they need to win to get into the playoffs.
30.
30? I was going to say 23 is not going to be enough because that's a 500 record.
Right.
So they need to go 30 and 16?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And another 1-hopper to Urshela.
Just win series. Urshela, a couple times we've seen him kind of lob that ball over to Santana. And that one a little bit on the high side, but Santana able to get it and get his foot on the bag.
You know, when you'll think about it, 30 wins and get the Twins to 88, and that sounds about right.
Right. Well, just win series. That's what you were talking about a couple days ago, Dick. Just, you know, hopefully the Twins will win this ball game. They won 2 of 3 from Texas. Hopefully they can win 2 of 3 from the Indians and move on.
Here's Dozier 0 for 3.
This is the fun time of the year, too, especially what the Twins have had to go through the last 4 years. It's fun going into late August and think that, hey, if they get hot here, if they can have what they did in the month of May all of a sudden pop up again, they got a chance to get the postseason.
1-0 to Dozier.
You're not going to win a division the way Kansas City keeps playing. Well, your only chance is get a wild card.
And both the Giants and the Royals got to the World Series last year via the wild card. 1-1. Half swing. Did he go? Nope. 2-1.
Yeah. Greg Gibson, the first base umpire, the crew chief here, said he did not go. There's Greg Gibson, 17th year as an umpire.
2-1 to Dozier. High pop-up, foul ball that'll reach the seats. People ask what's the best part of your job. First thing I always think of
working with me.
Other than that, when you get to this time of the year and your team is in the hunt and you've got those series coming up like the Twins have with the Orioles and the Rays, and back then it used to be the White Sox. Those series with Chicago were so much fun to be a part of. And the Twins are at 500, yes, but they're playing some meaningful games here as we get toward the back end of August, hoping to be doing the same thing in September. 2-2. Dozier takes ball 3.
You know, Dick, as a player, even when you wear the uniform, you always tell your teammates and you think we could play 500 by the 1st of September. and then get hot, you got a good chance to, get to the promised land.
3-2 to Dozier, hoping to set the inning up for Mauer. Or just go ahead and hit a home run on a 3-2 pitch. Foul.
O'Brien leading the club with the 25 home runs. Of the 25, 17 times. We had a game where he hit 2 home runs in a ball game, but the Twins are 17-7 when he hits a home run.
Kevin Jepson looks like he's got the 8th inning. Full count. Inside, he walked him, and Mauer will have a chance. You know what you're talking about? Just play 500 till September 1st. That's kind of what you guys did in '87.
Oh, yes.
Your best month in 1987 was September, when the Twins went 16-11 and clinched the division title before going 0-3 in October.
I was going to say, I think we were kind of like 16 and maybe 7 until we clinched it.
Right.
And we.
What happened, by the way? What happened? Why did you guys?
We don't remember.
Here's Mauer with Dozier at first, and Mauer takes strike 1. Third walk issued by Carrasco, and that's an odd number for him, a high number for him.
When you clinch something like the Twins did in '87, they say, well, you celebrate. Most people celebrate one night. We just celebrated for a week. Then we celebrated all winter long.
And there literally was nothing to play for after that. People forget there wasn't home field advantage if you had the best record. Back then, the American League West had home field advantage in the playoffs over whoever was going to win the East, Toronto or Detroit. So you didn't have any incentive to continue to win games. And boy, you sure didn't. You won the first game in Texas, then lost the rest of them there. Then you went to Chicago, right?
We won the one that mattered.
And you went to Chicago and got swept there.
Joe Niekro pitched that ball game. He started that ball game.
1-1 to Mauer.
The late Joe Niekro, he has missed.
Chopped foul. 1-2.
Well, Carrasco has struck out Joe Mauer a couple times on that slider down and in. That little cutter underneath that swing of Joe. Carrasco's last strikeout was Joe Mauer to end the 5th inning.
Carrasco's gotten him twice on the same pitch. That cutter inside, down and in. Squirted foul near the target.
Tried a fastball in, still velocity very good for Carrasco at now 99 pitches. Again, he came into the ballgame over his last 3 starts, an ERA of 1.04, only 7 hits allowed in 26 innings. He's given up 6 hits here this afternoon.
Another 1-2 to Mauer. And Dozier nearly got picked off. He was leaning toward second.
Yeah, Brian kind of fully extended right here. You see him leaning and then reaching for the bag. Boy, close play.
And the Indians stall a little bit as the Cleveland dugout ponders a challenge that they won't make.
You know what? Brian kind of moving that right hand around a little bit. He might have jammed that shoulder, hurt the shoulder a little bit. Diving back into the bag.
We're going with the fact that's a smile and not a grimace. And there you see again, he's kind of flexing it.
Yeah, kind of shaking it out a little bit.
One and 2 to Mauer.
Brian with 9 stolen bases in 12 attempts. Sano stole a base last inning.
A foul.
Good swing right there, just missed it. Sometimes as a pitcher you throw pitches, especially 100, 101, whatever, 100 right now, great strike to ball ratio. You get away with pitches, and I think that's a pitch Carrasco got away with. Joe fouled it. Had a good swing at it.
Fly ball left center field. It's hanging in the air for Aviles. The Twins are done in the 7th inning, leaving Dozier aboard. It's still 2-1. Are you on for the whole road trip?
Yes, I am.
All right, but that 11th day, don't just count the games. Make sure, see, how can I put this delicately? Pack for 11 days, okay? Not just 10.
Can't you wear them inside out?
Kevin Jepson, as we turn the page, will pitch to the Indians in the 8th inning.
Well, Kevin pitched in last night's ball game, 1 shutout inning. He ended up getting a hold, his first as a Twin, his 23rd of the year. 22 holds. A hold is where you save it for that closer or pitch well, keep the club in the lead. Making overall his 54th appearance on the season, his 8th for the Twins.
Even though Tommy Milone only went 5 innings, he completed the 5th and allowed Paul Molitor to at least construct the end of the game in an orderly fashion. We talked about this last night or the night before, the importance of, as a starter, completing whatever inning you're asked to complete so that the bullpen starts its string of innings with the bases empty, nobody out, starting an inning.
Very important.
There's a pop-up, should be caught by Nunez. Bullpen has retired all 7 men so far.
And believe me, Dick, a reliever wants to come in and start the inning. It's not the best situation to come on with a couple runners on, and when you give up a run of your teammate, that's the worst feeling for a reliever in the world. And I can say that because I did it. I only 3 or 4 times in my career I relieved, and I remember one time in New York I did give up a run. Came in with, I think, 1 out, runner at second. The guy scored. I felt terrible because I knew what it felt like, when you left the ball game with runners on and they let your run score. So you try to complete the inning, and Malone able to do that, as Duffy did last night, going 6 innings.
Jepson puts the glove down in time. A hot line drive. Might have stung his hand a little bit, but he caught it. 2 down.
You know, you release that ball and you're maybe only 55 feet away from that 60 feet 6-inch mound. Maybe closer, and that ball hit right back at Jepson. And his follow through kind of reaches down and says, whoa, look at that. I found it. Or it found my glove.
Jepson with a couple of outs here in the 8th. Gomes will bat next. He's been susceptible to breaking balls in the dirt, particularly with 2 strikes. Tommy Malone got him twice. Big at bat in the 5th inning because the bases were loaded at the time. Up and in, ball 1.
Nice crowd here tonight. 27,244 or today.
Somebody tweeted me a picture an inning or so ago. Apparently it's raining all around Target Field, but not here. Outside, 2-0. Gomes walked in the first, 2 swinging strikeouts. We've got cloudy skies, but not a drop of rain to this point. That's to left center, and it's going to drop for a hit. Gomes is aboard. Cost him a bat, but he'll take it with 2 down.
They got jammed a little bit, but Gomes very strong. Just fought it off and hit it into short left field.
Visit Fox Sports North at the Minnesota State Fair, August 27th through Labor Day. You can meet on-air personalities and special guests and have your photo taken in our free photo booth. Plus, register to win tickets and more. Welcomed by Grand Casino. For more details, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on upcoming events. Carlos Santana hitting from his preferred side with a man aboard and 2 down. Up and away, ball 1. All the power this year has come from this side of the plate. Santana hitting for a higher average from the right side, but 12 home runs on the year, all of them as a left-handed batter.
And he's got pop in that bat. 110 major league home runs.
Foul back.
And that's what he was trying to do right there.
Just to our left.
Nice grab by the fan. You know, I've noticed these people down here, they have shirts on that says together since. The husband wearing together and the young lady saying since, and it has 19 on his back and 62 on hers.
You just need to make sure that you're sitting as they are,
right,
and not her on the other side.
He always has to sit to her left.
Otherwise it wouldn't make any sense at all. Since together
62-19,
it wouldn't make any sense at all. 2-1 to Santana. Off-speed pitch gets a swinging strike 2.
Yeah, Santana way out front. Jepson did not face Santana last night. A good changeup, great location.
Two and 2 to Santana. Chop foul.
Santana 1 for 3 in his career against Jepson. Jepson's been able to strike him out once.
Now a different shift with Nunez moving to the right side of the infield and Sano playing where a shortstop would typically play. 2-2. Ooh, Santana got a pitch up and spun it back to the screen. Indians with just 4 hits. A couple of them doubles. Gomes aboard with a broken bat single. Into right field. Gomes will check in at second base. Santana has a good at bat and drills a single, and now the tying run at second with 2 down.
Well, good at bat right there, won by Santana. He had some very healthy cuts. Picks up his first hit, 5th for the Indians.
This is where Michael Brantley's inability to hit becomes a factor. Rayburn not doing well against right-handed pitching at all, hitting just 167. In fact, this will be just his 19th at bat against right-handed pitching. Fox Tracks presented by Carrier, and Brantley unavailable to play because of a sore left shoulder and a cortisone shot. Strike one from Jepson.
Yeah, he's only faced Jepson once, and Jepson able to strike him out.
Indians putting together a 2-out threat with a pair of singles. Up high. Jepson acquired largely because of his effectiveness against right-handers. And he has given up his first hit to a right-hander in Gomes in 11 at-bats. On the outside corner at 95.
Yeah, nice easy 95. Good location.
One and 2 to Ryan Rayburn. Breaking ball, a tapper foul. Santana did that a couple of times. Wasted a quality 2-strike pitch.
That was a good pitch right there, and credit Rayburn just getting a piece of it to keep the bat alive.
Another 1-2 to Ryan Rayburn. Struck him out. 96 gets a swing and a miss, and the Indians strand 2 in the 8th.
Twins into the bottom of the 8th. Stay with us directly after the game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll take a look at the Twins uprising in the second inning. For right now, it's stood up all game long with that bullpen doing a terrific job on the heels of Tommy Milone. They asked him to get 5 innings and put him in position to win. That's exactly what he did. Jack Morris will break down his effort today. We'll also put you inside the Twins clubhouse. Talk to the manager, Paul Molitor. He'll reflect on this series, the rubber game here, what the Twins look to do in that big, pivotal 10-game road trip that starts tomorrow in New York, guys.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Yep, night game, day game in New York. Zach McAllister coming out of the Cleveland bullpen to pitch to the middle of the Twins lineup.
And you see the 68 strikeouts in 54 innings, 16 walks for McAllister, making his 45th relief appearance. He did make 1 start. He's a guy kind of like Carrasco that the Indians still, I think, see him maybe as a future starter, but right now in the bullpen, he can throw that baseball. Good job by Carlos Carrasco. He pitched a whale of a ball game.
One strike, and Sano takes strike 2. Now, what'd you have Carrasco for? Do we know how many pitches he threw? 100?
101.
101. All right. 101 pitches. He may lose the game because of one pitch. How in the world did you pitch for what, 36 years, something like that?
There were nights I didn't sleep because if I closed my eyes, I saw that 1 or 2 pitches.
But that's what we're dealing with here. The 0-2 pitch to Suzuki. Gomes wanted it down and away. He left it belt or high over the middle of the plate, and Suzuki stung it for a 2-run single. 1-2 to Sano. That's down the line. It's got some hook and a little too much hook. Sano hit a fly ball down the right field line in his last at bat that was foul by inches, and now a liner that's foul by about as much to left.
And McAllister trying that fastball in, and Sano opened up quickly and lined it foul. McAllister coming into the season for the Indians, his 5th season, 65 starts, 72 appearances. Now mainly a long man or short man out of that bullpen.
Indians have some arms out of the bullpen too. They make a lot of lineups nervous because of their starting pitching, but you don't get much break in terms of velocity when you go to their bullpen. Big pop-up, short right field. Ramirez. What's the catch?
He fought it a little bit, but stayed with it. Well, speaking of bullpens, last night Perkins did give up a run in the 4-1 win, but last night they pitched well. Here tonight, Brian Dunsing, an inning and a third. Casey Fiend getting a couple outs he was asked to get. Then Kevin Jepson gave up a couple hits, but able to work out of it.
Here's Plouffe with 1 down. And a pitch up, ball 1. Orioles leading the A's 18-2 at the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, they had a chance in the 6th to get back in, but now maybe not.
You think that's over with?
Yeah.
You think Sam Fold might be pitching for the A's?
He might be.
Perkins had a 4-run lead last night. Looks like it'll be a 1-run lead. Here's a drive to left field. Deep to left center. Heading back is Aviles at the wall. Gone! Trevor Plouffe with a huge home run, giving the Twins an insurance run in the 8th. Number 17 for Plouffe.
You know, it was Brian Dozier in last night's ball game, late in the game, that gave that Twins a 4-0 lead. And here tonight, Trevor Plouffe, a little insurance. Got a fastball in, got it up, and the ball carried into the bleachers out in left field. A big home run for Trevor Plouffe.
No sooner said Perkins would have a 1-run lead to work with, and now the lead is doubled. Rosario takes a strike on the outside corner. Rosario with a single his last time up.
Yeah, that home run allowed by McAllister, his 5th home run allowed out of the bullpen.
One and one. And now 2-1. Popped up wide of third. Urshela has no play. 2-2. Be curious when we get to New York to see this young man swing the bat at Yankee Stadium. Any left-handed batter there is a threat, but nothing seems to have bothered him. I wouldn't think that the aura, if you want to call it that, of New York or Yankee Stadium is going to bother this guy at all.
No, a very well, level-headed young man. Even at Fenway Park, you go there for the first time, and you look at that close wall as these Twins will look at some of these new guys at Yankee Stadium. That short porch out in right field.
Back.
It's tempting. I'm sure in batting practice they'll take their whacks at it, but once the game starts, I think Rosario, you can see his demeanor. He just kind of looking over, just relaxed. Seems like nothing bothers him. He knows what he wants to do and make good contact here and hopefully get on base.
Or to put it another way, he looks like he's been here 6 or 7 years. Full count and a foul back.
He fouled off a nasty pitch right there, down and in.
What you need to do, if you're a team like the Twins or the Orioles, the Indians did it a couple of years ago, you need to play your best baseball in your last 50 games. A final 50 push, if you will. And maybe the Twins are off to a start in that regard if they can win this game and win a couple of series and then have a couple of very tough road trips coming up.
But that's the challenge, and that's what you play the game for. You try to beat the best. And the Yankees, they're right there with the Blue Jays. The Orioles are good. Rays are improved ball club.
3-2 to Rosario.
It's going to be fun to watch.
The ball driven to right center field, and it's got some carry. It's up and off the very top of the wall. And now bounding away from both outfielders. And Rosario will hold up with a triple. It looked like he hit the very corner of the wall in right center, and the Twins may take a look, ask the umpires to take a look. This would be an umpire's review, not a managerial challenge, but that ball definitely took a weird bounce.
Yeah, there's that yellow line up there, and I believe it was just below it where that little bit of a railing comes out. But in last night's ball game, Twins hit back-to-back home runs with Rosario and Herman for the second time this year. It looked like it hit just, see that little railing right there, just hit right above it, and then Karam's back into play, and Rosario for the 8th time. It's a triple.
It comes with one out here in the 8th. That'll be an important run for the Twins to get in as well. This will be reviewed. It will be ruled, I can confidently say, a triple. And it doesn't take long to.
I said 8. That's his 9th triple.
Right.
And that ties him for the all-time rookie lead with Castino in 1979.
You can see right there below the line and behind the line, of course, the flowers. It forces the Indians to bring the infield in for Eduardo Nunez. Nunez disappointing at bat in the 6th inning, 1st and 3rd, 1 out, and he fouled out to the shortstop.
Yeah, the club record for triples by a rookie, Tony Oliva. He had 9.
Nunez takes a strike.
Tony Oliva back in 1964. Rosario tying John Castino.
Oliva, Castino, and Carew all were rookies of the year. Castino sharing the award with Alfredo Griffin. And Nunez with a take, and it's 1-1.
Well, second time Nunez has come up with a runner at third and one out. He did the same in the sixth inning, ended up popping up to Lindor in foul territory. He's got a chance to add a run right here. Infield in for the Indians, as Dick said.
Squeeze play, and it works beautifully. And Nunez will reach. A suicide squeeze, bringing in Rosario from third, and it's 4-1.
Something you don't see a lot of in the game of baseball. Paul Molitor got that 2-run lead. Watch Rosario as soon as that pitch. He scoots home, and Nunez picks up an RBI with that squeeze bunt.
Nunez was running well into fair territory going down the line, but McAllister never threw.
All he had to do was hit Nunez in the back.
The run would have scored, but it would have been the second out.
Right.
And now Terry Francona to the mound. Been a good inning for the Twins with Plouffe's home run, Rosario nearly hitting one out, and then Nunez backing it up with a suicide squeeze, a successful one. The Twins, who won last night by a score of 4-1, will have that lead as the Twins do some damage against McAllister and the Cleveland bullpen here in the 8th inning. Nice throw by Rosario. They get him at second. Well, Rosario with a big hit in the 8th inning. Twins have already added 2 more runs here and now lead 4-1. A little more cushion for Glenn Perkins.
Yeah, Ryan Webb coming into the ball game, trying to get the final 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning, making his 29th relief appearance. Ryan Webb went to spring training with the Dodgers, with the Baltimore Orioles, traded to the Dodgers in early April, then released by the Dodgers, and then signed with Cleveland in the middle of April.
And now Suzuki, you've got the Twins an awfully big hit with 2 outs in the second on an 0-2 pitch. Drove a sharp single to center, scoring the first 2 runs, and now the Twins have added 2 more here in the 8th.
Yeah, Webb at 6'6", 245.
Nunez looked like he was ready to take off on the first pitch. Nunez comes up a little wounded.
Grabbing his left side.
Nunez, yeah, he did something to the dreaded oblique, it would appear. Something in his side isn't feeling right. Right there, you could see he was starting towards second and had to reverse field. Earlier when this happened to Dozier, he did something to his shoulder, but now Nunez going to stay in the game here.
When you go back in the bag, you almost saw his shoulder kind of give a little bit. I don't know if that's it or not, but he is holding kind of his rib area.
Well, he's laughing about something, so
maybe he lost his breath. I found mine in Cleveland one time.
You were actually on the bases?
No. Just I lost my breath and I found it in Cleveland.
One strike to Suzuki. Nunez appears to be just fine. And takes off. Here's a ball driven to right, and Nunez rounds the bag. There's only one out, so now he's got to hustle back, and he will be doubled off.
Great job by the infielders deking Nunez.
A double play on a line drive, but the Twins tack on two more, and Glenn Perkins has a 3-run lead. Suzuki drove in the first 2 runs back in the second inning. The Twins added 2 more in the bottom of the 8th. The Trevor Plouffe home run. And Perkins last night came into the game with the Twins leading 4-0, a non-save situation. It finished 4-1. Perkins gave up a run, and this is a save situation here with a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, it hasn't been an easy go for Glenn Perkins since the All-Star break when he made the All-Star team. So he's looking for just his 3rd save opportunity, or 3rd save since the break.
He's had some blown saves. Give you some idea about how the season has turned for Perkins since the All-Star break. He's given up 13 runs this year. Swing and a miss, 1-1. 8 of them since the break. Now, last night's run didn't hurt Perk at all, or the Twins for that matter, but it was the 8th run he's given up since the All-Star break. 1-1. Hack down the right field line foul. I asked Paul Molitor this morning, I said, have you noticed anything different? Paul's explanation, or theory at least, and not really an explanation, more of a theory, that Perkins is a victim of a lack of work. The Twins haven't gotten him out there enough. Well, last night he pitched, and he's in there again this afternoon.
Popped up down the right field line. Chased by Plouffe and Dozier, and it's a row or two back.
Yeah, he gave up 8 runs since the All-Star break, but 4 of them coming in that Yankees series here, where he gave up the 3-run home run to Murphy and then the solo home run to Rodriguez. So, you know, a couple blown save opportunities, but still 30 saves on the year, looking for 31 here this afternoon.
Foul to the screen.
Third season in a row that Glenn Perkins has had 30 or more saves.
Foul back. There just aren't as many swings and misses. Hits, home runs, and foul balls. Urshela, Monte, and then Chisenhall due up. Popped up down the right field line. Plouffe, Dozier, and it's Plouffe with the catch. One away. Time now for What's Next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Twins hit the road, go to New York. Again, night game, day game. And they've got the 3 fixtures in the rotation after patching through this 3-game series in terms of starting pitching. They've got Gibson, Pelfrey, and Santana going against Sabathia, Eovaldi, and Nova. And they'll be taking on the leaders in the American League East by a half game over Toronto. Toronto won the series finale 3-1 today. Up and away, ball 1. Monte drove in the lone Cleveland run with a fly ball in the second. If the Twins win this game and win it here in the 9th inning, these are the types of wins they would prefer to get. They'll take wins of any kind, but you're not going to win many 10-9 ball games. If this team is going to win the 30 games, Bert, you spoke of, here's a chopper left side. Nunez scoops, rifles his throw to Plouffe, 2 down.
Yeah, he just must have lost his breath, maybe, you know, in that slide to first, because my goodness, what a great throw right there.
Charged the ball as he had to.
It was a cannon for an arm.
If the Twins are going to win those 30 games out of the remaining 46, you're probably going to need to win most of them by scores like this rather than 10-9. Things like that. Here's Chisenhall.
Yeah, Chisenhall ended last night's ball game by striking out against Perkins.
Fouled away a strike. That came up and got the home plate umpire, but Suzuki checked on Ben May. He's fine. 0-2. Ball hit the dirt, flew past Suzuki, it looked like.
Yeah, the breaking ball right there, getting the mask of Ben May. Suzuki making sure he's all right.
0-2. Perkins to Chisenhall.
"46 innings for Glenn Perkins, 43 strikeouts.
Up the middle and through for a base hit. Chisenhall doesn't get many opportunities against lefties. There are no options really for Terry Francona. And now Aviles will hit with a man aboard and 2 down.
They got a fastball away and hit it right back up the middle.
Aviles is 0 for 2 with a walk. Strike 1.
One thing Glenn Perkins does, no fooling around out there. He'll come right at you.
High fly, short left field. Robinson hardly asked to move. And the Twins have won back-to-back series and get back above the 500 mark.
Well pitched ball game today. Very good timely hitting, especially in the 8th inning when they added to that 2-1 lead.
Tom Hanneman, the Twins had an important ball game here today. They really wouldn't have killed their chances at all, but they really needed to win today, and they got it done. And now we'll hit on the road with a couple of series wins.
Dick, the Twins continue to be at their best here at home. Up next on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, we'll talk about their scoring in the 2nd and 8th inning, what Tommy Milone did in his return. We'll hear from Paul Molitor, and we'll tell you about the road that lies ahead.